It's consciousness realizing its own essence. And when that consciousness comes back into the body-mind, the person often takes hold of it. And that's why statements such as, "I'm enlightened," or "I'm a liberated being," exist. The body-mind has taken hold of what has actually happened, which is the awake presence knows itself or has recognized itself. So I've made statements such as, I believe that humanity is ready to wake up. And I mean that. But I say it like that to appeal to the human mind. It's almost like tempting consciousness out of personhood. When I say humanity is ready to wake up, really what I mean is consciousness is ready to realize itself, because that's truly what this is. This is consciousness, or this awake presence, ready to realize itself. And I feel that energetically. I feel that in just some sort of subtle, resonant energy here on Earth. To even use the words "here on Earth" is a concession to the body-mind. Because is this awake aliveness here on Earth? From the body-mind perspective, or from the Earth-centric perspective, of course it is. Or from the ultimate perspective, it's not anywhere. And yet, this awake aliveness is ready to realize itself. This message doesn't come in the form of language. When you tune to the subtleties of existence, you realize that communication is energetic. You've had gut feelings, and you've had intuitions. They're not always correct, because oftentimes the mind gets hold of them and then writes a script, writes a narrative about those energies. And it's almost always a bastardization of what those energies truly mean. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe consciousness does not want to fully awaken to itself. But I'm just reporting how it feels here. I'm willing to be wrong about everything, but there's one thing that I know for sure. And it's that consciousness is not encapsulated by the body-mind. And self-realization is not a person realizing or gaining any sort of insight. It's consciousness realizing its own essence. And when that consciousness comes back into the body-mind, the person often takes hold of it. And that's why statements such as, "I'm enlightened," or "I'm a liberated being," exist. The body-mind has taken hold of what has actually happened, which is the awake presence knows itself or has recognized itself within existence. That's what enlightenment is. And that's why no body is ever enlightened. If anybody claims to be enlightened, and perhaps they have had a deep or profound awakening, that's just the body-mind taking ownership of something that can never be owned, something that can never be had. It's something that just is. There's nothing about me that's special. However, this awake aliveness has realized itself outside of this body-mind. And then paradoxically, it's seemed to come back into the body-mind to express itself. And I don't know why. And it doesn't matter why. All I know is there's no specialness here. Because what was seen as consciousness realized itself outside of this body-mind is that this awake aliveness is the animation of all body minds. All body minds occur within this single essence that I've called pure consciousness or pure awareness, pure beingness, pure presence, isness, or aliveness. All of these terms get closer to other terms that I've come across, to how this feels or what this is. Truly, this is what is meant by enlightenment or liberation, but it's not for the person. It's not for the body mind. An element of existence is awareness. And when I say things like that, sometimes they register as not fully true. Like what I just said, as I said it, I felt an almost quiver in the energy of it because it wasn't 100% true. Let me see if I can purify that in a way that there isn't a quiver in the energy around it. All I can say is that an element of awareness is existence, rather than an element of existence is awareness. Existence happens or appears to happen within awareness. That felt more true. That felt closer. There wasn't a quiver there. This consciousness that's here right now speaking is dedicated to just the truth. And so when there's a disruption or a half-truth or not quite absolutely true, it calls itself out. And I hope it continues to do that, because I know that there's a lot of body forms, body minds that just want the truth. That's what I wanted. And if I were to guess, that is why consciousness awoken to itself from this body mind and then came back into this body mind to express itself. I'm not saying that this is total or complete, but it's an expression of what is at the moment. And it's authentic. And I can say that because I know when it's not authentic. And I'll say that. If ever I contradict myself, know that it's because something is purifying, something is deepening or broadening, expanding within itself to become a more pure representation of itself. Allow these words to act like a marinade. Sit in them until something broadens outside of you, or what you thought to be you, into a more true or eternal essence of being. This language is satsang. If this language affects something within you in a way in which you enjoy, then sit with it. Continue to be with it. If you feel a pull towards these words, it's because consciousness is interested in awakening to itself from you And then perhaps it'll come back into you and express like it is now. So what's in it for you then? Nothing. The sweet bliss of nothing. To be completely transparent is to be completely whole. To have no filters between you and raw reality is the greatest joy that can be had in body-mind, or at least the greatest I've come across. To be able to look at a plant life and be so intrigued, as if you're seeing everything for the first time. There's a bewilderment here that is so raw and true in exploring itself in all these different colors and shapes and forms. It's seeing with rawness. It's acting as aliveness. There's no more delusion. It's just pure and true. And it interacts with everything from that place of just truth. The bliss of just existence is readily recognized. When consciousness realizes itself, there's a rawness here that isn't offered by anything else. The realization of just what is. Pure aliveness, pure being, pure consciousness. When that recognizes itself, everything else seen as an expression of just that. This is where I call you from. This is where I call you to. But it's not a calling from me personally. It's a calling from consciousness itself. It wishes to know itself. First from you, and then through you. Raw reality's a trip, man. If you're interested, sit with it.